Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Failing marks for the FBI from the DOS report. Attorney General Bill Barr calling the Mueller investigation an intrusive investigation of a U.S. president on the thinnest of suspicions. Well, what precisely did the report find? And why are the findings, quote, a no clear win for the Democrats or Republicans? Eric Phillips explains.
The report criticizes the FBI for inaccurate information on surveillance or so-called Pfizer warrant applications. The IG stopped short of saying the Mueller report never should have happened, but his boss willingly made that leap. In a statement, Attorney General Bill Barr said the FBI launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that, in my view, were insufficient to justify the steps taken. It is also clear that from its inception, the evidence produced by the investigation was consistently exculpatory. The FBI filed so-called FISA warrants to be able to electronically monitor Trump campaign aide Carter Page. The warrants were renewed 3 times, but the report says the FBI personnel fell far short of the requirement in FBI policy that they ensure that all factual statements in a FISA application are scrupulously accurate.
There are a number of things in this report that, in my view, fall well short of the standard of conduct and performance that we and that I expect of all our employees, and we're going to be taking a number of corrective steps to address that.
The report says officials learned new information between the time the applications for warrant renewals were submitted, such as the fact that the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign helped fund the infamous Steele dossier, chiefly used to obtain the warrants. But that new info was not included in subsequent FISA application filings.
This is a sad day. This is a dangerous set of circumstances, but there are better days ahead. Mr. Horowitz has identified the problem. It's up to us to fix it.
The report maintains that while decision makers higher up in the FBI were not kept properly informed during the investigation, quote, information that was known to the managers, supervisors, and senior officials should have resulted in questions being raised. But that didn't happen. The report also said there was no evidence of political bias where the investigation was concerned, and that while there were issues, by and large, there was probable cause for launching the investigation.
Well, I think if you're looking at this through either a Democrat or Republican lens, which most people on Capitol Hill are doing, as well as the president, there's not a clear win for either side.
The investigations in this matter are still not over. There's one more being conducted right now by U.S. Attorney John Durham. Durham released his own statement Monday saying he told the IG he does not agree with some of the report's findings, including how the FBI opened its case. Unlike the IG's report, Durham's investigation could result in criminal charges. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Durham, criminal charges. It's about time somebody got charged because there have been abuses, scandalous abuses. But the fact that they withheld the knowledge that the Hillary Clinton campaign had paid for that Steele dossier that was used as the basis for Pfizer warrants is just appalling. Well, in other news, tit-for-tat tensions flaring between Democrats and Republicans yesterday as Democrats roll on full steam ahead with articles of impeachment. And one of the things they're saying is obstruction of Congress. And I don't think the head of the Intelligence Committee is Congress. And I don't think the fact that you do not go along with everything he asked for is a, quote, obstruction of Congress. Congress has not voted on any of these things, but they're trying to make that an article of impeachment. John Jessup has more.
Pat, not wasting any time, Democrats want to vote on impeachment articles by the week's end. All this after a deeply contentious impeachment hearing in the House Judiciary Committee Monday. Heather Sells has our report.
House Democratic leaders are moving quickly to finish their side of the impeachment process so the full House can vote on impeaching the president, after which the issue moves on to the Senate. The Democrats' contention that President Trump put U.S. elections and national security at risk when he asked Ukraine to investigate his rivals, including Joe Biden.
President Trump's actions are impeachable offenses.
On Monday, the House Judiciary Committee heard testimony from both Democratic and Republican lawyers involved in the House intelligence hearings. Republicans are still unified in defending the president and say Democrats have failed to give the minority a hearing and follow proper procedure.
In the next 4 hours, you're going to try to overturn the result of an election with unelected people giving testimony.
It's outrageous that we're trying to remove a president with a kangaroo court like this.
President Trump told the press he's watched some of the impeachment hearings.
I did. I watched a little bit, very little. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our country.
Nevertheless, Democrats are now committed to moving forward with impeachment articles.
Placed his own private interests ahead of our national security and the integrity of our elections, and constitutes a continuing threat to the integrity of our elections and to our democratic system of government.
A full House vote is expected before Christmas, meaning a trial in the Senate in January, where President Trump plans a robust defense. Heather Sell, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. Pat, moving full steam ahead.
Can't imagine a congressman running for re-election in a pro-Trump district will come to his voters and say, well, what did you do? Did you fund the government? No. Did you fund infrastructure? No. Did you do anything to balance the budget? No. Did you do something about foreign policy? No. Well, what did you do? Well, we carried on a meaningless impeachment inquiry that took us months and months and months, cost a lot of money, and failed. Now, what kind of a congressman would want to go to his constituents with that kind of an argument? But that's what they're going to be faced with, and I don't think they relish the thought. John?
Pat, while Congress keeps arguing over impeachment, government spending keeps outpacing revenue. The deficit's increasing 12% in the first 2 months of the 2020 fiscal year. That's $342 billion, which puts the United States on track to surpass $1 trillion in deficit spending in the coming year. Pat, right now that total federal debt is at astounding $23 trillion.
And the total, including non-funded liabilities, is closer to $70 trillion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have saddled the next generation and the generations after that with insupportable debts. The United States economy, one of these days is going to collapse. We cannot continue this. And not only is the United States in debt, the whole world is in debt, and the amount of private debt, corporate debt, public debt is simply staggering, maybe as much as $150 trillion. And it's so much that it'll never be paid off. So what's going to happen? Well, I tell you, the lifestyles of a lot of people are going to be severely restricted. And it's one of those dangers. But those people just keep spending like there's no tomorrow. There's no control. Anything crazy that's brought up, they'll vote for. Anything that's restricted, they'll vote against. It's unbelievable. John?
Pat, Saudi authorities are investigating if the Pensacola shooter was radicalized during a trip back home to Saudi Arabia earlier this year. Acquaintances telling the Washington Post the attacker, a Saudi national, acted strange and angry in the weeks leading up to Friday's attack. It's now come to light that earlier this year he filed a formal complaint after an instructor made fun of him, allegedly using an offensive nickname in class. Authorities believe he posted an anti-American screed on Twitter before he opened fire, killing 3 people. One of the victims, Joshua Caleb Watson, gave police critical information about the shooter as he lay dying.
With his last breath, really, he summoned all of his courage and gave a report, a description of the shooter and where he believed his location was.
The FBI is still working to determine if the attacker acted alone or was part of a larger network. Well, back here at home, the Supreme Court has left in place a Kentucky law requiring doctors to perform ultrasounds and show the images of the unborn babies to patients before abortions. The justices did not comment after refusing to review an appeals court ruling that upheld the law. The American Civil Liberty Union had challenged it on behalf of the only remaining abortion clinic in Kentucky. The law was passed in 2017. Well, snow and ice creating major traffic issues in the Midwest. Near Des Moines, Iowa, a 50-car pileup on I-80 closed lanes for more than an hour. A sudden snow squall cut visibility to a quarter mile. One person was injured. In Nebraska, ice causing cars to spin out. This trooper responding to an accident actually became part of it. All this as below freezing temperatures hit the area. Negative 34 in Fargo, North Dakota, minus 29 in Duluth, Minnesota. That system is now moving towards the East Coast, bringing heavy rain, some snow, and a swath of dangerous icing. Pat?
Well, we live here in the garden spot of America. We're warmed by the Gulf Coast, and so far it's been pretty benign. As a matter of fact, it's warm outside.
But tune in tomorrow because I think it's coming this way.
If you don't like the weather, wait till tomorrow. It's going to be, well, it might get colder, but it's not near as cold as it could be. And so we're very gracious. We are warmed by the Gulf Stream. I mean, it comes up this way and warms up this part of the. So I wouldn't mind a little snow. Freezing weather. We had one day at 32, and it does kill mosquitoes. It kills certain insects, and a little cold is good for us. Yeah. Terry.
Well, much more is